Kicked out of her house at 18 for being pregnant, she slept in the park until a millionaire saw her and changed everything. If you're a romance fan, subscribe, like, and tell me where you're watching from. Let's share the love. The October rain fell softly over the streets of Lyon, painting the cobblestones with a melancholic shine that reflected the dim streetlights. Sophia Johnson pulled her thin jacket tighter around her body, feeling the cold seep through the worn fabric and settle into her bones. At 18 years old, she had learned that the world could be cruel, but nothing had prepared her for the absolute loneliness of sleeping on a park bench with only the sound of raindrops as company. 3 days had passed since her father had thrown her out of the house. 3 days since she had heard the words that still echoed in her mind like a curse. "You are no longer my daughter. Get out and never come back." Sophia pressed her hand against her still flat stomach, feeling the life growing inside her. A tiny secret that had cost her everything. Her mother had cried, but she hadn't defended her. Her younger brother had looked at her with confusion and fear. And Thomas, the boy who had promised her the moon and stars, had disappeared the moment she told him about the pregnancy, as if he had never existed. Now, curled up on the bench in Parc de la Tête d'Or, Sophia tried to make herself as small as possible, hoping the rain would stop and the night would pass quickly. She had spent the last of her money on a baguette and a bottle of water that morning. Her phone had died 2 days ago, not that anyone would call her anyway. "Pathetic," she whispered to herself, feeling tears mix with the rain on her face. Absolutely pathetic. But even as she said it, something inside her refused to break completely. Perhaps it was the life growing inside her, or perhaps it was simply that stubborn streak she had inherited from her grandmother, the one person who had always believed in her, who had died 2 years ago, leaving Sophia truly alone in a family that had never understood her. The park was deserted at this hour. Most sensible people were home, warm and dry, probably having dinner with their families. Sophia closed her eyes and tried to imagine what that felt like, though the memory was already fading. Had she ever really belonged in that house? Had her parents ever truly loved her, or had she always been just a disappointment waiting to happen? A car pulled up near the park entrance, its headlights cutting through the darkness. Sophia tensed, pulling her knees closer to her chest. She had learned quickly that being a young woman alone at night attracted the wrong kind of attention. But the car didn't move, and after a moment, the engine turned off. Liam Davis sat in his Mercedes, staring at the figure huddled on the bench. He had driven past this park 100 times on his way home from the office, but tonight something had made him stop. Perhaps it was the way the streetlight illuminated the young woman's face, revealing the tear tracks even the rain couldn't hide. Perhaps it was the memory of his own sister Sophie, who had died 5 years ago in circumstances that still haunted him. At 32, Liam had everything money could buy: a penthouse apartment overlooking the Rhône, a successful investment firm, cars, watches, and a reputation as one of Lyon's most eligible bachelors. But none of it had filled the emptiness that had consumed him since Sophie's death. He had become a machine, working 18-hour days, attending charity galas where he wrote checks with many zeros but felt nothing, going through the motions of life without actually living. His therapist kept telling him he was punishing himself, that what happened to Sophie wasn't his fault, but Liam knew better. He had been too busy building his empire to notice his sister was drowning in depression, too focused on success to see that she needed him. And by the time he finally paid attention, it was too late. Now, looking at this girl on the bench, because she was just a girl, really, couldn't be more than 18 or 19, Liam felt something crack inside the wall he had built around his heart. She looked so small, so vulnerable, so utterly defeated, and yet, even from this distance, he could see her hand resting protectively on her stomach, a gesture that spoke of fierce determination despite her circumstances. Before he could talk himself out of it, Liam grabbed his umbrella and got out of the car. His expensive Italian shoes splashed through puddles as he walked toward the bench, his mind racing with doubts. What was he doing? She might run away. She might think he was dangerous. She might tell him to mind his own business, and she would be right to do so. But Sophie's face flashed in his mind. Sophie at 16, telling him she was fine when she clearly wasn't, and him being too busy to push further. Sophie at 19, calling him late at night, and him sending her to voicemail because he was in a meeting. Sophie at 23, leaving him a message he had only listened to after she was gone. I just needed someone to see me, Liam. Really see me. Sophia heard the footsteps approaching, and her heart hammered against her ribs. She kept her eyes closed, hoping whoever it was would just pass by. Maybe if she stayed very still, they would think she was sleeping and leave her alone. "Excuse me," a male voice said, surprisingly gentle. "I don't mean to disturb you, but are you all right?" The question was so absurd that Sophia almost laughed. Did she look all right, sleeping on a park bench in the rain at midnight? But when she opened her eyes and looked up, the words died in her throat. The man standing over her holding an umbrella was not what she expected. He wore an expensive suit, had kind eyes that seemed genuinely concerned, and most surprisingly, he was looking at her like she was a person, not a problem to be avoided. "I'm fine," she lied automatically, her voice hoarse from not speaking for days. "Just resting." Liam's heart constricted. She was even younger than he thought, with dark eyes that held too much pain for someone her age. Her clothes were soaked through, her lips were tinged blue from the cold, and she was trembling despite trying to hide it. "I'm Liam," he said, crouching down so he wasn't towering over her. "And I can see you're not fine. When was the last time you ate something?" Sophia wanted to tell him to go away, to leave her to her misery. But the gentleness in his voice, the lack of judgment in his eyes, and the sheer exhaustion in her bones made her defenses crumble. "This morning," she admitted. "A baguette. And where did you sleep last night?" "Here." The single word carried the weight of her entire situation, and Sophia saw understanding dawn in the stranger's eyes. Not pity, thank God, not pity, but something deeper. Recognition, perhaps, as if he understood what it felt like to be completely lost. "My name is Sophia," she said quietly, not sure why she was telling him. "And before you offer to call the police or social services or whatever, I'm 18, legally an adult. They can't help me." "I wasn't going to suggest that," Liam said. He paused, weighing his next words carefully. "I was going to suggest dinner. There's a cafe 2 blocks from here that stays open late. They make excellent soup. And then, if you want, I can help you find somewhere safe to sleep. No strings attached, no expectations. He stopped, struggling to articulate the urgency he felt. "I just can't walk away and leave you here." Sophia studied his face, searching for the hidden angle, the trap. Men didn't help women for nothing, especially not men who drove expensive cars and wore watches that probably cost more than her entire former life. But his eyes were steady, patient, waiting for her decision without pressure, and maybe it was the hunger gnawing at her stomach, or the cold seeping into her bones, or the tiny flutter she felt in her belly that reminded her she wasn't just responsible for herself anymore. Whatever the reason, Sophia heard herself say, "Okay, soup sounds good." Liam felt relief wash over him as he extended his hand to help her up. She hesitated for just a moment before taking it, her hand small and cold in his. As she stood, he noticed she swayed slightly, and he realized she was probably weak from hunger and exhaustion. "The cafe is just there," he pointed, holding the umbrella over both of them. "Can you walk?" "Yes," Sophia said firmly, even though her legs felt like rubber. She had walked for 3 days. She could walk 2 more blocks. She had to maintain some dignity, even if she had already accepted help from a stranger. They walked in silence through the rain, an odd pair, the impeccably dressed businessman and the soaked, shivering girl. Sophia was acutely aware of how she must look, how she must smell after 3 days without a shower. But Liam didn't seem to notice or care, matching his pace to her slower steps and keeping the umbrella carefully positioned so she stayed as dry as possible. The cafe was warm and bright, nearly empty at this late hour. The owner, a plump woman named Margot, who had known Liam for years, raised her eyebrows when she saw him enter with Sophia, but was too discreet to comment. Instead, she ushered them to a quiet corner table and brought hot towels without being asked. "The usual, Monsieur Davis?" Margot asked, her eyes kind as they flickered to Sophia. "2 bowls of the onion soup, please," Liam said, "and some bread, cheese and hot chocolate." Lots of bread. As Margot bustled away, Sophia pressed the hot towel to her face, feeling warmth return to her frozen features. Across the table, Liam removed his jacket and draped it over a nearby chair, loosening his tie slightly. In the bright lights of the cafe, Sophia could see him more clearly. The strong jaw, the dark hair with hints of grey at the temples, despite his relative youth, the weariness around his eyes that spoke of sleepless nights and heavy burdens. "Thank you," Sophia said quietly. "You didn't have to do this." "I know," Liam replied, "but I wanted to." He paused, then added carefully, "You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to, but if you need help, I'd like to offer it." And there it was, the question Sophia had been dreading and hoping for in equal measure. She looked down at her hands, twisted in her lap, and felt the weight of her situation pressing down on her chest. She could lie, could make up some story that made her seem less pathetic. But what was the point? This man had found her sleeping on a park bench. He already knew she had hit rock bottom. "I'm pregnant," Sophia said, the words falling into the space between them like stones into water. "My father kicked me out when he found out. The baby's father wants nothing to do with us. I have no money, no job, nowhere to go." She looked up, meeting Liam's eyes with a mixture of defiance and desperation. "So now you know. If you want to take back your offer of help, I'll understand." But Liam didn't flinch, didn't judge, didn't retreat. Instead, he leaned forward slightly and said something that would change both their lives forever. "I'm not going anywhere, Sophia, and neither are you. Not alone, not anymore." The soup arrived steaming hot, its rich aroma making Sophia's stomach clench with hunger, so intense it was almost painful. She forced herself to eat slowly, aware of Liam's discreet observation and not wanting to appear desperate, even though she was. Each spoonful was heaven, warmth spreading through her body, chasing away the cold that had settled into her bones over the past 3 days. Liam watched her eat with a mixture of emotions he couldn't quite name. Relief that she was accepting help, anger at whoever had put her in this situation, and something else, something that felt dangerously close to the protective instinct he had felt for Sophie, the one he had failed to act on when it mattered most. "Tell me about yourself," he said after a while, his voice gentle. "Not the difficult parts if you don't want to. Just, who is Sophia Johnson?" Sophia looked up from her soup, surprised by the question. No one had asked her that in a long time. Her parents had always been more concerned with who she should be rather than who she was. Thomas had only been interested in what she could give him. And now here was this stranger, asking about her as if she mattered. "I don't know anymore," she admitted, her honesty surprising herself. "I thought I did. I was going to start university this fall, literature and languages. I wanted to be a teacher, maybe travel the world first, teach English in different countries. I had this whole plan." "Mbidi," she trailed off, looking down at her stomach. "But plans change, I guess." "Plans adapt," Liam corrected gently. "They don't have to disappear entirely. Being a mother doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. It might mean the path looks different, but the destination can still be the same." "How would you know?" The words came out more sharply than Sophia intended, born from pain and fear rather than genuine anger. "You're successful, wealthy, probably never had to choose between your future and—" She stopped, biting her lip. "You're right," Liam said quietly. "I don't know what you're going through, but I do know about having plans destroyed and having to rebuild from nothing." He paused, debating how much to share. "I had a sister, Sophie. She was brilliant, creative, full of life. She died 5 years ago, and when she did, every plan I had for the future died with her. I had to learn to live again, to find purpose again. It wasn't easy. Some days, it still isn't." The pain in his voice was raw and real, and Sophia felt her defensive walls lower slightly. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "What happened to her?" "She took her own life," Liam said, the words still difficult to speak after all these years. I was too busy building my career to see that she was struggling, too focused on success to notice my sister was drowning. By the time I realized something was wrong, it was too late. He met Sophia's eyes, his own bright with unshed tears. So when I say I can't walk away and leave you alone on that bench, it's not just kindness, it's necessity. I failed, Sophie. I won't fail someone else who needs help. The confession hung between them, heavy and honest. Sophia felt something shift inside her, a recognition that this wasn't about pity or charity. This was about two broken people finding each other in the darkness, both trying to make meaning from their pain. I don't want to be your redemption project, Sophia said carefully. I don't want to be the person you save to make yourself feel better about your sister. Liam nodded, appreciating her directness. Fair enough, and I don't want to be your savior, riding in on a white horse to fix all your problems. But maybe we can help each other. Maybe we're both looking for something, a second chance, a purpose, a reason to believe the world isn't entirely cruel. He leaned back, choosing his next words carefully. I have an apartment. Well, I have several, actually. One of them is empty, a two-bedroom in the 6th arrondissement. It's furnished, safe, warm. You could stay there while you figure out your next steps. Sophia felt her heart race. I can't afford rent. I can't afford anything. I literally have €3 in my pocket. I'm not asking you to pay rent, Liam said. Consider it an investment in your future. You stay there, get your strength back, figure out what you need for the baby. And when you're ready, we'll talk about your education, about work, about how you want your life to look. No pressure. No expectations beyond taking care of yourself and that baby. It sounded too good to be true, and every instinct Sophia had developed over the past 3 days screamed that there must be a catch. Why? She asked bluntly. Why would you do this for a complete stranger? Because 5 years ago, I wish someone had done it for Sophie, Liam answered. Because I've spent the last 5 years making money and feeling nothing, and tonight, for the first time since she died, I feel like I might be able to do something that actually matters. And because, he smiled slightly, a hint of humor breaking through the heavy emotion, because you remind me that there are still people in this world worth fighting for. Sophia felt tears prick her eyes, and she blinked them back furiously. I might disappoint you. I'm not strong or brave or any of the things you probably think I am. I'm just a scared girl who made mistakes and doesn't know how to fix them. Strength isn't about never being scared, Liam said. It's about being terrified and still getting up the next morning. You've been sleeping on a park bench for 3 days, pregnant and alone, and you're still here, still fighting. That's not weakness, Sophia. That's courage. The words broke something open inside her, and suddenly Sophia was crying, really crying, for the first time since her father had thrown her out. All the fear, the loneliness, the overwhelming uncertainty came pouring out in tears she couldn't control. She buried her face in her hands, shoulders shaking, trying to muffle the sobs, but unable to stop them. Liam didn't try to stop her tears or offer empty platitudes. He simply moved his chair closer and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. A quiet presence that said she wasn't alone anymore. And when Margot came over with concern written on her face, he waved her away gently, understanding that Sophia needed this release. Finally, after what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, the tears subsided. Sophia lifted her head, embarrassed and exhausted, to find Liam offering her a clean handkerchief. Actual cloth, not paper, because of course this man who drove a Mercedes would carry proper handkerchiefs. Sorry, she mumbled, wiping her face. I don't usually fall apart on strangers. You didn't fall apart, Liam said. You acknowledged reality, felt your feelings, and now you're ready to move forward. That's actually very healthy according to my therapist. Despite everything, Sophia found herself smiling slightly. You have a therapist? Every Tuesday at 3, Liam confirmed. Dr. Moreau. She's excellent, if terrifyingly perceptive. She spent 5 years trying to convince me that Sophie's death wasn't my fault, and I've spent 5 years pretending to believe her. He paused. But maybe tonight is a start. Maybe helping you is the first step in actually forgiving myself. Dim, that's a lot of pressure to put on a homeless, pregnant teenager, Sophia said, but there was warmth in her voice now, a hint of the humor that her grandmother had always loved. Good thing you're tougher than you think then, Liam replied. They finished their meal in more comfortable silence, the initial awkwardness giving way to something that felt almost like friendship. Margot brought more bread and a slice of tarte tatin that she insisted Sophia needed for the baby, even though the pregnancy was still too early for that to make much difference. But Sophia ate it anyway, savoring the sweet apples and buttery pastry, feeling more human than she had in days. As they prepared to leave, Liam's phone buzzed repeatedly. He glanced at it and sighed. My business partner, probably wondering where I am. I usually work until midnight and it's... He checked his watch. Already past 1. He likely thinks I've finally had that breakdown Dr. Moreau keeps predicting. You should answer, Sophia said. I don't want to make problems for you. You're not a problem, Liam said firmly. You're a person who needs help, and I'm someone who can provide it. That's not complicated. He typed out a quick message, then pocketed his phone. Come on, let's get you somewhere warm and dry. The apartment building was in a beautiful neighborhood that Sophia had only ever walked through, never dreaming she might actually live there. The lobby was elegant, with marble floors and artwork that probably cost more than her parents' house. Liam nodded to the night concierge, who looked curious about Sophia, but maintained professional discretion. 5th floor, Liam said as they entered the elevator. The building is secure, so you'll be safe. The concierge desk is staffed 24 hours. The apartment has everything you need, linens, dishes, even some basic groceries that get restocked weekly. The cleaning service comes on Wednesdays, but I can cancel that if you prefer privacy. Sophia felt overwhelmed by the casual way he described luxuries she had never experienced. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything yet, Liam advised. Wait until you see it. You might hate the decor. I've been told my taste is aggressively minimalist, which I think was meant as an insult. The apartment was beautiful, airy and bright, with large windows overlooking the river. The furniture was indeed minimalist, all clean lines and neutral colors, but it was comfortable and clearly expensive. The kitchen was equipped with appliances Sophia didn't know how to use. The bathroom had a tub deep enough to swim in. And the bedroom, the main bedroom, because Liam was right, there were 2, had a bed so large and inviting that Sophia felt tears threatening again. The second bedroom is smaller, Liam said, opening another door. But it might work well as a nursery eventually. For now, it's just storage, but we can clear it out whenever you're ready. The casual assumption that she would stay long enough to need a nursery made Sophia's chest tight. I can't accept this, she whispered. It's too much. You're a stranger. I don't even know you. Then get to know me, Liam said simply. I'll give you my contact information, my business address, the name of my lawyer and accountant, references from people I've worked with. You can verify I'm not a criminal or crazy. And in the meantime, you have a safe place to sleep, food to eat, and time to figure out your next move. That's all I'm offering. Well, that and... He pulled out his wallet and withdrew several bills. Enough money for clothes, toiletries, whatever you need. Consider it a loan if it makes you feel better. You can pay me back someday if you want. Sophia stared at the money, then at the man offering it with no apparent expectation of anything in return. Every survival instinct told her this couldn't be real, couldn't be this simple. But the exhaustion in her bones and the life growing inside her and the desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, the world wasn't entirely cruel made her reach out and take the bills. Thank you, she said, her voice breaking. I don't know why you're doing this, but thank you. Liam smiled, and for the first time that night it reached his eyes. Get some rest, Sophia. Tomorrow things will look different. Better, I promise. After he left, Sophia stood in the middle of the beautiful apartment, holding money she hadn't earned, surrounded by luxury she didn't deserve, and felt the strangest sensation wash over her. It wasn't quite hope. Hope felt too fragile, too dangerous to embrace fully. but it was something adjacent to hope, a possibility, a chance. She walked to the bedroom, sat on the edge of the impossibly soft bed, and placed both hands on her stomach. "We're going to be okay," she whispered to the tiny life inside her. "I don't know how yet, but we're going to be okay." And for the first time in 3 days, Sophia Johnson fell asleep, believing it might actually be true. Sophia woke to sunlight streaming through windows she didn't recognize, momentarily panicked before the events of the previous night came flooding back. The apartment, the stranger named Liam, the promise of safety and time. She sat up slowly, her body aching from 3 nights of sleeping on hard wood, and allowed herself to really look at her surroundings in the daylight. The bedroom was serene, decorated in soft greys and whites with touches of blue that reminded her of the sky. Through the window, she could see the Rhône River glittering in the morning sun, and beyond it, the old buildings of Lyon rising up like a postcard. It was beautiful, peaceful, and so completely different from the cramped bedroom she had shared with her brother in her parents' apartment that it felt like another world entirely. Her stomach growled, reminding her that soup and bread, while wonderful, had been many hours ago. Sophia stood, catching sight of herself in the mirror and wincing at what she saw: hair tangled and matted, clothes wrinkled and stained, dark circles under her eyes that made her look years older than 18. She needed a shower desperately. The bathroom was a revelation. Hot water poured from the rainfall showerhead in abundant streams, and there were actually clean towels in the cabinet, along with unopened bottles of shampoo, conditioner and soap that smelled like lavender and mint. Sophia stood under the water for a long time, feeling 3 days of grime and fear wash away down the drain. She washed her hair twice, scrubbed her skin until it was pink and tingling, and only got out when the water started to cool. Wrapped in the softest towel she had ever felt, Sophia confronted her next problem. She had nothing clean to wear. Her clothes from last night were unwearable, and she had nothing else. For a moment, panic fluttered in her chest. She couldn't stay in this apartment wrapped in a towel, but then she remembered the money Liam had given her, still in her jeans pocket. A knock on the door made her freeze. Through the peephole, she saw a woman about her age holding several shopping bags, accompanied by the building's concierge. "Mademoiselle Johnson," the woman called. "Monsieur Davis asked me to deliver these items. I'm Marie, from the boutique on Rue de la République. May I come in?" Cautiously, Sophia opened the door a crack, keeping herself hidden behind it. Marie smiled kindly, seeming to understand the situation without explanation. "I have clothes for you, basics to get you started. Monsieur Davis described your size and asked me to select comfortable, practical items. Nothing fancy, but good quality. May I leave them inside?" "Yes, thank you," Sophia managed, opening the door wider but staying out of sight. Marie brought the bags in, setting them carefully on the sofa, while the concierge waited in the hallway. "There's also food in the kitchen," Marie continued. "The building service stocked the refrigerator this morning per Monsieur Davis's instructions. And he left a note for you on the counter." She smiled again, warm and genuine. "If you need anything else, my card is in one of the bags. Monsieur Davis has an account at the boutique. Don't hesitate to call." After they left, Sophia approached the bags as if they might disappear if she moved too quickly. Inside were jeans, comfortable sweaters, undergarments still in their packaging, socks, a warm coat, and even shoes, simple sneakers in what appeared to be her exact size. There was also a package containing basic makeup, a hairbrush, and other toiletries. The note on the counter was written in neat, precise handwriting. "Good morning, Sophia. I hope you slept well. I've taken the liberty of having some essentials delivered. If anything doesn't fit or you need something else, Marie at the boutique can help. Just call her. I'll come by this evening around 7 to check on you if that's all right. There's no pressure to see me if you're not comfortable. My number is below if you need anything before then. Liam." Sophia read the note 3 times, searching for hidden expectations or demands, but found only genuine concern and respect for her autonomy. She dressed in jeans and a soft grey sweater that fit perfectly, marveling at how different she felt in clean clothes. almost human again, almost like herself. The kitchen was indeed stocked. Fresh bread, cheese, fruit, eggs, milk, coffee, and other staples filled the shelves and refrigerator. Sophia made herself breakfast, eating slowly at the small dining table while watching the river below. It felt surreal, this sudden shift from sleeping on a bench to living in luxury. Part of her kept waiting for the catch, for the moment when Liam would reveal what he really wanted in exchange for his generosity. But as the day passed quietly, with no demands or expectations, Sophia began to relax incrementally. She explored the apartment more thoroughly, finding books on the shelves, classics and contemporary fiction mixed together. She discovered a small television and spent an hour watching mindless programs, just enjoying the normalcy of it. And slowly, carefully, she allowed herself to think about the future, the baby. She was going to have a baby. The thought still terrified her, but in the safety of this apartment, with food in her stomach and clothes on her back, the terror was manageable. She pulled out her phone, which she had charged for the first time in days, and began researching. What did pregnant women need? What should she be doing? When should she see a doctor? At precisely 7 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Sophia checked the peephole and saw Liam still dressed in a business suit, but looking somehow more relaxed than the night before. She took a deep breath and opened the door. "Hi," she said, suddenly shy. "Come in." Liam entered, and his smile when he saw her was genuine and warm. "You look much better," he said. "Did everything Marie brought work out?" "Yes, thank you," Sophia said. "Everything fits perfectly. How did you know my size?" "I have 3 younger cousins," Liam explained. "I've learned to estimate fairly well out of necessity." He paused, then added carefully, "I hope I didn't overstep. I just thought you might want clean clothes and didn't want you to have to go shopping today if you weren't ready." "You didn't overstep," Sophia assured him. "It was incredibly thoughtful. All of this is—" She gestured around the apartment. "I don't have words for how grateful I am." "You don't have to be grateful," Liam said gently. "You just have to take care of yourself and that baby." He set down the bag he was carrying. "I brought dinner, Chinese takeout from the place down the street. I wasn't sure if you liked Chinese, but they have options if you don't." They ate together at the small dining table, and conversation came easier than Sophia expected. Liam asked about her day, genuinely interested in her answers. She asked about his work, and he explained his investment firm in terms that made sense, even though she knew nothing about finance. He was funny, she discovered, dry humor that caught her off guard and made her laugh in ways she hadn't in months. "So what happens now?" Sophia asked eventually, pushing her plate away. "I'm not complaining, but I need to understand what you expect from me. This apartment, the clothes, the food, it's too much for there to be no expectations." Liam set down his chopsticks and met her eyes seriously. "My expectation is that you use this time to heal, to prepare for the baby, and to figure out what you want your life to look like. That's it. No rent, no strings, no debt you need to repay." "That can't be sustainable," Sophia argued. "You can't just support a stranger indefinitely." "I'm not planning to support you indefinitely," Liam clarified. "I'm giving you breathing room to become who you're meant to be. Once you're ready, and only when you're ready, we'll talk about your education, about work, about building a stable future for you and your child. But right now, today, your only job is to rest and take care of yourself." "Why?" The question burst out of Sophia with more force than she intended. "Why do you care so much? You didn't know me yesterday. You don't owe me anything." Liam was quiet for a long moment, his fingers tracing patterns on the tablecloth. "Do you know what Sophie's last message to me said?" he asked finally. "She said she just needed someone to see her, really see her. Not the successful sister of a successful brother, not the girl who was supposed to have everything, just her, the real her, with all her struggles and fears." He looked up, his eyes bright with emotion. "I didn't see her, Sophia. I was too busy, too focused on my own ambitions to pay attention, and it cost her everything." "And you think saving me will make up for not saving her?" Sophia asked, not unkindly. "No," Liam said honestly. "Nothing will make up for that. But maybe, if I can help you, really help you, not with money but with genuine support and belief in your potential, maybe Sophie's death won't have been completely meaningless. Maybe I can be the person for you that I should have been for her." The confession was raw and painful, and Sophia felt something inside her soften completely. "I'm not your sister," she said gently, "and I can't fix your guilt. But maybe we can help each other figure out how to live with our mistakes." Liam nodded, a small smile touching his lips. "That sounds like a good place to start." Over the next 2 weeks, a routine developed between them. Liam came by most evenings after work, bringing dinner and conversation. He never stayed too long, respecting Sophia's space and privacy, but his presence became something she looked forward to rather than dreaded. They talked about everything: books, movies, childhood memories, dreams for the future. Liam told her about building his business from nothing, about the risks he had taken and the failures he had survived. Sophia shared her love of languages, her dream of traveling, her complicated relationship with her family. "Have you thought about contacting them?" Liam asked one evening as they sat on the balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. "Your parents, I mean." Sophia tensed. "No, they made their position clear. I'm not welcome anymore." People say things in anger that they don't mean," Liam suggested carefully. "Your mother cried when your father made you leave. That suggests she might regret." "She stood there and let him throw me out," Sophia interrupted, her voice hard. "She chose him over me, over her own daughter and grandchild. That's not something you apologize away." Liam was quiet for a moment. "You're right," he said finally. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pushed." "It's okay," Sophia sighed. "I know you're trying to help, but some bridges once burned can't be rebuilt, and maybe that's all right. Maybe I need to build something new instead of trying to salvage what never really worked anyway." "Then that's what we'll do," Liam said firmly. "We'll build something new." The "we" in his statement didn't escape Sophia's notice, and she felt warmth spread through her chest. Somewhere along the way, this strange arrangement had become something more than charity. It was becoming friendship, genuine and unexpected. Liam arranged for her to see a doctor, accompanying her to the appointment and waiting in the reception area while she had her first ultrasound. When she emerged, clutching the grainy black-and-white photo of the tiny life inside her, she found him reading a parenting magazine with an expression of intense concentration that made her laugh. "Research," he explained sheepishly. "I figured I should know what I'm talking about if I'm going to help." "You're reading about potty training," Sophia pointed out. "I think we have some time before that's relevant." "Preparation is key," Liam said seriously, but his eyes were smiling. "How did it go? Everything okay?" "Everything's perfect," Sophia said, showing him the photo. 8 weeks along. Due date in early May. The doctor said everything looks healthy. Liam studied the ultrasound image with surprising tenderness. "That's amazing," he said quietly. "A whole person just beginning. Thank you for sharing this with me." The gratitude in his voice made Sophia realize how much these small moments meant to him, how being part of this journey was healing something broken inside him, just as his support was healing something broken inside her. As November turned cold and rainy, Liam suggested they start planning for Sophia's future education. "The spring semester starts in January," he said one evening. "If you enrolled now, you could begin classes after the holidays. The university has programs for student parents, support systems in place." "I can't afford university," Sophia protested, "even if I could get in, which is doubtful without my parents' cooperation." "You can get in," Liam interrupted. "Your grades were excellent, and I know people on the admissions board. As for money, that's what scholarships are for, and if that's not enough, I'll cover the rest." "You can't keep paying for everything," Sophia said, frustrated. "I need to be independent. I need to take care of myself and my baby." "And you will," Liam assured her. "But accepting help when you need it isn't weakness, Sophia, it's wisdom. My sister—" He paused, struggling with the words. "Sophie refused help because she thought needing it made her weak. She tried to do everything alone and it destroyed her. Don't make the same mistake." His words hit Sophia hard, cutting through her pride to the truth underneath. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Scared that if I depend on you and then you leave—" "I'm not leaving," Liam said firmly. "I'm not your father, Sophia. I'm not Thomas. When I commit to something, I see it through, and I've committed to helping you build the life you deserve." Something in his voice made Sophia's heart skip. Over the past weeks, she had tried not to think too hard about the way she felt when Liam entered a room, or the way his rare, genuine smiles made her chest feel tight. He was helping her out of guilt and kindness, nothing more. Getting attached, developing feelings beyond friendship would be disastrous, and yet she couldn't deny that something was growing between them, something that felt like more than gratitude, more than obligation. "Okay," she said finally. "I'll apply for the spring semester. Literature and languages like I originally planned." Liam's smile was brilliant. "That's my girl. You won't regret this." That night, after he left, Sophia stood at the window looking out at the city lights and tried to sort through the tangle of emotions in her chest. Gratitude, yes, relief certainly, but also something warmer, something dangerous. She was falling for Liam Davis, this complicated, wounded man who had saved her from a park bench and asked for nothing in return except that she believe in herself. But Liam saw her as a project, a way to redeem himself for failing his sister, didn't he? She was 18, pregnant and homeless when they met. He was 32, wealthy, successful. The power imbalance alone made any romantic feelings inappropriate, never mind the fact that she was carrying another man's child. "Stop it!" Sophia told herself firmly, placing a hand on her growing belly. "He's being kind. Don't ruin it by wanting more than he can give." But as she fell asleep that night, her dreams were full of grey eyes and gentle smiles, of strong hands and careful tenderness, of a future that looked suspiciously like happiness. And though she knew it was foolish, she couldn't quite bring herself to stop hoping. Meanwhile, across the city in his penthouse apartment, Liam sat staring at the ultrasound photo Sophia had given him a copy of, trying to understand what he was feeling. He had meant every word he said. He was committed to helping Sophia build a good life, to supporting her education and future. But somewhere along the way, his motivations had become less about redemption for Sophie's death and more about Sophia herself. She was extraordinary, smart, resilient, funny in ways that caught him off guard. Her courage in the face of impossible circumstances humbled him. Her determination to maintain her dignity even when accepting help inspired him. And her smile, rare but genuine when it appeared, lit up something inside him that he thought had died with Sophie. "This is dangerous," he told himself. "She's 18, pregnant, vulnerable. You're in a position of power over her. Having feelings beyond friendship would be taking advantage. But knowing something was inappropriate didn't make it less true. Liam was falling for Sophia Johnson, and he had no idea what to do about it. So he did what he always did when emotions threatened to overwhelm him. He threw himself into work, staying at the office later, taking on more projects, anything to keep his mind busy and his heart under control. But every evening at 7, he found himself at her door with dinner and conversation, unable to stay away even knowing he should. And every evening, Sophia's smile when she opened the door made him wonder if maybe, someday, when the timing was better and the circumstances less complicated, there might be a chance for something more. For now, though, they existed in this strange limbo. Not quite friends, not quite family, not quite anything they could name. Two broken people helping each other heal, one evening at a time, one conversation at a time, one small step toward the future at a time. December brought snow to Lyon, transforming the city into something magical. Sophia stood at the window of the apartment, watching fat flakes drift past, and felt the baby move for the first time, a flutter so light she almost missed it. She pressed her hand to her stomach, marveling at this tiny person who was becoming more real with each passing day. Her acceptance letter from the university had arrived that morning, along with notification of a substantial scholarship that would cover most of her tuition. Liam had appeared at lunch with champagne for himself and sparkling cider for her, insisting they celebrate properly. "You did this," he said, raising his glass. "You earned this through your own merit. I just opened a few doors. You walked through them." "We both know it's more complicated than that," Sophia said, but she was smiling. "Thank you, Liam, for everything." They clinked glasses, and Sophia caught Liam looking at her with an expression she couldn't quite read, something tender and sad and longing all mixed together. It was gone in an instant, replaced by his usual warm smile, but it left her heart racing. Over the past month, their relationship had deepened into something neither could quite define. Liam still came by every evening, but now they cooked dinner together sometimes, or walked along the river despite the cold, or simply sat in comfortable silence reading on opposite ends of the sofa. He had started bringing her books he thought she would like, and she was usually right. She had started asking about his day in ways that showed she genuinely cared about the answer. They existed in a careful dance, both aware of the growing attraction between them, but neither willing to acknowledge it out loud. Sophia told herself it was inappropriate. She was pregnant with another man's child, dependent on Liam's generosity, too young and too broken for someone like him. Liam told himself he was in a position of power, that any romantic overture would be taking advantage, that she deserved better than a man still haunted by his sister's ghost. But the heart, unfortunately, doesn't listen to logic. "I have something for you," Liam said after they finished their celebration toast. He pulled out a wrapped package, elegant in silver paper. "Early Christmas present. You can open it now or wait. Your choice." Sophia tore into the paper with an enthusiasm that made Liam laugh. Inside was a leather journal, beautiful and expensive, with her initials embossed on the cover. Tucked inside was a note. "For all the stories you're going to tell, all the dreams you're going to chase, and all the moments worth remembering. Write your own narrative, Sophia. Make it extraordinary." She looked up at him, tears in her eyes. "It's perfect." "I know you mentioned wanting to write," Liam said softly. "I thought you might like a place to start." Without thinking, Sophia moved forward and hugged him, the first time she had initiated physical contact beyond handshakes. Liam stiffened for just a moment before his arms came around her, gentle and careful, as if she were something precious that might break. They stood like that for a long moment, neither wanting to let go, both acutely aware of how right it felt to be in each other's arms. Finally, reluctantly, Sophia stepped back, her cheeks flushed. "Sorry," she mumbled. Thank you. It means more than you know." "Don't apologize," Liam said, his voice rougher than usual. "I'm glad you liked it." The moment hung between them, heavy with unspoken words. Liam cleared his throat. "I should go, let you enjoy your evening, but I wanted to ask. My family does a Christmas dinner every year. It's usually chaotic and loud, but they're good people. Would you like to come?" "No pressure if you'd rather not." Sophia's first instinct was to refuse. Meeting his family felt like crossing a line, like making their relationship something more public and therefore more real. But the thought of spending Christmas alone in the apartment, her first holiday without her own family, made her chest ache. "I'd like that," she said, "if you're sure they won't mind." "They'll love you," Liam assured her. "Fair warning, though. My mother will probably try to feed you enough for 3 people, and my cousins will ask approximately 1,000 personal questions. They mean well, but they have no concept of boundaries." Sophia laughed. "Sounds perfect, actually." Christmas came with more snow and a nervousness that Sophia couldn't quite shake. She dressed carefully in one of the nicer outfits Marie had helped her select, a soft blue dress that accommodated her growing belly, paired with leggings and boots. At 4 months pregnant, she was clearly showing now, and she wondered what Liam's family would think. Liam picked her up at 2, looking handsome in dark jeans and a sweater that brought out the grey in his eyes. His gaze, when he saw her, was warm and appreciative in ways that made her pulse quicken. "You look beautiful," he said simply. "I look pregnant," Sophia corrected, but she was smiling. "You look beautiful and pregnant," Liam amended. "Both things can be true." The drive to his parents' home took them outside the city to a charming house in the countryside, lights twinkling in every window and smoke curling from the chimney. Before they even reached the door, it flew open and a whirlwind of people emerged. Parents, cousins, and aunt and uncle, all talking at once. Liam's mother, Isabel, was a warm woman with her son's kind eyes. She took one look at Sophia and immediately pulled her into a gentle hug. "Welcome, dear. Liam has told us so much about you. Come in, you must be freezing." The house was exactly as Sophia had imagined, warm and lived in, with photos covering every surface and the smell of roasting turkey filling the air. Liam's father, Philippe, shook her hand with genuine welcome. His cousins, 3 girls ranging from 15 to 23, descended on her with enthusiasm, asking about the baby and school and how she met Liam. "We met in the park," Liam said smoothly, intercepting before Sophia had to explain the full truth. "I was walking and saw her sitting alone. We started talking and became friends." It wasn't exactly a lie, and Sophia was grateful for the edited version. The family accepted it without question, and soon she was swept into the chaos of dinner preparation, helping set the table while dodging questions about her plans and dreams. Dinner was magnificent. Turkey and vegetables, and about 6 different side dishes, followed by 3 kinds of dessert. Sophia found herself laughing more than she had in months, caught up in the family's easy banter and obvious affection for each other. This was what she had always wanted, a family that actually enjoyed being together, that supported each other without conditions. After dinner, while others cleared the table, Liam's youngest cousin, Amélie, pulled Sophia aside. "He's different with you, you know," the 15-year-old said seriously. "Liam, he's been so sad since Aunt Sophie died, but when he talks about you, he smiles for real. Not the fake smile he uses for everyone else. We're just friends," Sophia said automatically, though her heart was racing. Amélie gave her a look of teenage skepticism that was surprisingly astute. "Sure you are. That's why he looks at you like you're the most important person in the world. Just friends." She grinned. "It's okay. I think it's nice. You're good for him." Before Sophia could respond, Isabel appeared with coffee and led them back to the living room where Philippe was building up the fire. As the evening wore on, people drifted to different activities. Cousins playing board games, parents doing dishes, uncle and aunt arguing good-naturedly about politics. Liam and Sophia ended up on the sofa, slightly apart from the others, watching the fire crackle. Outside, snow fell steadily, blanketing the world in white. "Thank you for bringing me," Sophia said quietly. "Your family is wonderful." "They liked you," Liam said, "though I knew they would. You're easy to like, Sophia. I'm pregnant, homeless, well, formerly homeless, and have no prospects," Sophia countered. "I'm exactly the kind of person parents warn their sons about." Liam turned to face her fully. "You're brilliant, resilient, kind, despite having every reason not to be, and brave enough to rebuild your entire life from nothing. You're exactly the kind of person anyone would be lucky to know." The intensity in his voice made Sophia's breath catch. They were sitting close enough that she could see the firelight reflected in his eyes, could feel the warmth radiating from his body. "Liam," she whispered, not sure what she was asking for, but knowing she needed something, some acknowledgement of the electricity crackling between them. "I know," he said softly. "I feel it too. But Sophia, you're 18, almost 19, she interjected. "You're pregnant, you're rebuilding your life, and I'm in a position of power over you. Any feelings I have—" He stopped, seeming to struggle with the words. "It wouldn't be right. Not now. Not like this." "Or what if I have feelings too?" Sophia asked, her heart hammering. "What if I've been falling for you since that first night in the cafe?" Liam closed his eyes briefly, as if in pain. "Then we wait. We wait until you're stable and independent, until there's no question of me taking advantage. And if the feelings are still there when the circumstances are different, we'll talk about it then." It was the most rational, respectful thing he could have said. It was also heartbreaking. Sophia felt tears prick her eyes, but she blinked them back. "You're right," she said. "Of course you're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have—" "Don't apologize," Liam interrupted gently. "You have nothing to be sorry for. And Sophia, the waiting will be hard for me too, so hard, but you're worth waiting for." The confession hung between them, acknowledgement without action, promise without pressure. Sophia managed a small smile through her unshed tears. "You're a good man, Liam Davis." "I'm trying to be," he said. "For you, I'm trying to be." They sat in silence for a while longer, watching the fire, not quite touching but aware of every breath, every small movement. Around them, Liam's family continued their celebrations, oblivious to the small drama unfolding on the sofa. Finally, as the evening grew late, they made their goodbyes. Isabel hugged Sophia tightly and whispered, "You're welcome here any time, dear. And take care of my son. He needs someone who sees him for who he really is." The drive back to Lyon was quiet, both of them lost in thought. When they arrived at Sophia's building, Liam walked her to her door as always. "Merry Christmas, Sophia," he said softly. "Merry Christmas, Liam." For a moment they stood there, and Sophia thought he might kiss her, hoped he might kiss her. But Liam simply squeezed her hand once and stepped back. "See you tomorrow?" he asked. "Tomorrow," Sophia confirmed. After he left, Sophia went inside and stood at the window, watching his car disappear into the snowy night. She placed both hands on her belly, feeling the baby move beneath her palms. "Your father missed out on something amazing," she whispered. "But maybe that's okay. Maybe we're exactly where we're supposed to be." That night, in her new journal, Sophia wrote her first entry. "Today, I fell in love with a man too good to take advantage of my feelings. Today, I learned what it means to be respected. Today, I understood that sometimes love means waiting, and somehow that makes it more real, not less." Across the city, Liam sat in his penthouse staring at a picture from the evening. His mother had taken it without them noticing, catching him looking at Sophia while she laughed at something Amélie said. The expression on his face was unmistakable. He was in love with Sophia Johnson, completely, irrevocably in love. And for her sake, for both their sakes, he would wait until the timing was right, however long it took. But as he fell asleep that night, he allowed himself to imagine a future where the waiting was over, where he could hold her without hesitation, where they could build something real together, and for the first time since Sophie's death, that future looked like happiness. Spring arrived in Lyon with an explosion of color. Flowers blooming in window boxes, trees budding along the river, and Sophia's belly growing round and full with life. She was 7 months pregnant now, attending classes 3 days a week, and managing better than she had ever imagined possible. Her professors were supportive, her classmates friendly, and for the first time in her life, Sophia felt like she was exactly where she belonged. Liam had kept his promise. He came by regularly, but maintained careful boundaries, never pushing, never taking advantage. They had become best friends in the truest sense, sharing everything except the physical affection they both desperately wanted. It was torture and comfort in equal measure, this enforced waiting, but Sophia understood its necessity. She needed to become her own person, independent and strong, before she could build a life with anyone else. The nursery was nearly complete now. Liam had helped her paint it a soft yellow, and his cousins had thrown her a baby shower that left her overwhelmed with tiny clothes, toys, and all the mysterious equipment babies apparently required. Isabel had become a surrogate mother, teaching Sophia to knit baby blankets and attending prenatal classes with her when Liam was at work. The baby was a girl. Sophia had cried when she found out, thinking of her own mother and the relationship they would never repair. But Isabel had held her and said, "You'll be the mother you wished you had. You'll break the cycle and start something new." It was mid-April when everything changed. Sophia was in her apartment, studying for an exam, when the doorbell rang. She wasn't expecting anyone. Liam was in Paris on business and wouldn't be back until tomorrow. Through the peephole, she saw a woman in her 40s, well-dressed but nervous, wringing her hands. Cautiously, Sophia opened the door. "Can I help you?" The woman looked at her pregnant belly, and burst into tears. "Sophia! Oh my God, Sophia! Is it really you?" Recognition hit like a physical blow. "Maman!" Her mother, Catherine, stood in the hallway crying. "I've been looking for you for months. Ever since your father—" She stopped, struggling for composure. "May I come in? Please. I know I don't deserve it, but please." Sophia's first instinct was to slam the door, but something in her mother's face, genuine remorse, desperate hope, made her step aside. Catherine entered slowly, looking around the beautiful apartment with obvious surprise. "You've done well for yourself," she said softly. "I'm so relieved. When you disappeared, I thought I was so afraid." "You didn't seem afraid when Papa threw me out," Sophia said, her voice harder than she intended. "You just stood there and watched." Catherine flinched, but nodded. "You're right. I was a coward. I chose your father over you, and I will regret that for the rest of my life." She sat down uninvited, looking suddenly old. "I left him 2 months ago. I couldn't stay with a man who could treat his own daughter that way." Sophia felt her anger waver slightly. "You left Papa." "I should have left him the day he made you go," Catherine said. "But I was scared of being alone, scared of not having money, all the excuses cowards use. But then I kept thinking about you, out there somewhere, possibly in danger, and I realized nothing was more important than finding you and making this right." She looked up, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry, Sophia. I'm so sorry. I failed you as a mother, and I can't change that. But if you'll let me, I'd like to try to do better, to be better." Sophia sank into a chair, one hand on her belly where the baby was kicking vigorously, as if responding to the emotional turmoil. Part of her wanted to reject this apology, to send her mother away and prove she didn't need her. But another part, the part that had spent 7 months learning about grace and second chances from Liam, recognized genuine remorse when she saw it. "How did you find me?" she asked finally. "I've been searching everywhere," Catherine admitted. "I finally hired a private investigator. He found records of you at the university, and one of your classmates mentioned seeing you here. I know it's invasive, and I'm sorry, but I had to know you were safe." They talked for hours, painful, honest conversation that laid bare years of dysfunction and hurt. Catherine admitted her own failures, the ways she had enabled Sophia's father's controlling behavior, the regrets that haunted her. Sophia shared what the past months had been like, leaving out the darkest details, but explaining how she had found help and rebuilt her life. "Who is he?" Catherine asked, noticing the photo on the mantel. Liam and Sophia at Christmas, both of them laughing. "The baby's father?" "No," Sophia said. "His name is Liam. He's—" How to explain what Liam was? "He's my friend, my best friend. He found me when I was at my lowest point and helped me get back on my feet." Catherine studied the photo more closely, seeing what Sophia herself hadn't fully acknowledged, the love obvious in how Liam looked at her daughter. "He cares for you, more than friendship. We're waiting," Sophia said quietly, "until I'm stable, until I can be sure I'm choosing him for the right reasons. Not just because I'm grateful." "That's very wise," Catherine said, "and very difficult, I imagine." They didn't resolve everything that afternoon. Some wounds were too deep to heal quickly, but they made a start. Catherine promised to return, to be present for the birth if Sophia would allow it, to try to build a new relationship from the ashes of the old one. Sophia didn't promise anything except to think about it. After her mother left, Sophia sat alone with her thoughts swirling. The baby kicked again, and she smiled despite her emotional exhaustion. "Your grandmother wants to meet you," she whispered. "I never thought that would happen." Her phone rang. Liam, right on schedule for his evening check-in, even though he was in Paris. "How are you?" he asked, his voice warm and familiar over the line. "My mother found me," Sophia said, and then the whole story came pouring out. Liam listened without interruption, offering comfort and wisdom in equal measure. "What do you want to do?" he asked when she finished. "I don't know," Sophia admitted. "Part of me wants to forgive her. Part of me thinks it's too late. Part of me wonders if I'm being stubborn or protecting myself. I'm so confused." "Here's what I know," Liam said gently. "You're one of the wisest people I've ever met. Whatever you decide will be the right choice. Trust your instincts, Sophia. They've brought you this far." Indeed. After they hung up, Sophia opened her journal and wrote, "Today my past showed up at my door asking for forgiveness. I don't know if I'm ready to give it, but maybe forgiveness isn't something you wait to be ready for. Maybe it's something you choose, ready or not, because holding on to anger hurts you more than it hurts them." 2 weeks later, Sophia went into labor at 3 in the morning. She called Liam first, who arrived at the apartment within 15 minutes looking disheveled and terrified. Her mother came next, and then Isabel, and suddenly the hospital room was full of people who loved her, supporting her through the long hours of labor. Emma Rose Johnson was born at 2:47 p.m., weighing 7 pounds and 4 ounces, with dark hair and eyes that looked remarkably like Sophia's grandmother. The moment they placed her in Sophia's arms, everything else fell away. The pain of labor, the complicated relationships, the uncertainty about the future. There was only this perfect, tiny person who was entirely hers. Liam stood in the corner, tears streaming down his face, as he watched Sophia hold her daughter. Catherine sat beside the bed, crying too, reaching out tentatively to touch the baby's tiny hand. And Isabel, ever practical, was already taking photos and texting them to the family. "She's beautiful," Liam whispered, finally approaching the bed. "Perfect, like her mother." Sophia looked up at him, this man who had saved her life in every way that mattered, and felt her heart overflow with love. "Do you want to hold her?" Liam's eyes widened. Are you sure?" "I'm sure." Carefully, reverently, Liam took Emma into his arms. The baby settled against him immediately, as if recognizing someone important. Liam looked down at her with such tenderness that everyone in the room felt something shift. This wasn't just a friend holding a baby. This was something deeper, something profound. "Hello, little one," Liam whispered. "Welcome to the world. You're already so loved." Watching him, Sophia knew. The waiting was almost over. Soon, not today, but soon, she would be ready to tell him that she didn't just care for him as a friend. She loved him completely, desperately, with a certainty that had nothing to do with gratitude and everything to do with who he was as a person. The next months passed in a blur of sleepless nights and tiny milestones. Emma was a good baby, all things considered, and Sophia managed to keep up with her classes by studying whenever the baby slept. Catherine visited regularly, slowly earning back trust through consistent presence and genuine support. She and Philippe had officially divorced, and Catherine had found an apartment and a job, building her own independent life for the first time. Liam was there for everything: the first smile, the first time Emma rolled over, the countless 3 a.m. moments when Sophia was exhausted and overwhelmed. He never overstepped, never claimed a role that wasn't his, but his love for Emma was obvious to everyone who saw them together. "He's going to be a wonderful father someday," Isabel said one afternoon, while babysitting so Sophia could take an exam. "I know," Sophia said softly. "To Emma," Isabel clarified, meeting her eyes meaningfully. "When you both stop being so noble and admit what everyone else can already see." It was the end of June when Sophia made her decision. She had successfully completed her first semester of university. Emma was 3 months old and thriving, and she had a job lined up for the fall, teaching English to international students at a language center. She was finally, truly independent. The apartment was officially hers now, transferred into her name as an early graduation gift from Liam, who had insisted she needed the security. She was her own person, no longer the frightened girl sleeping on a park bench, but a woman who had built a life through determination and help she had been brave enough to accept. It was time. Sophia called Liam and asked him to come for dinner. Not takeout, but an actual meal she would cook herself. She spent the afternoon preparing his favorite foods, dressing Emma in the little dress Isabel had made, and trying not to be nervous about what she was about to do. Liam arrived at 7, surprised to find candles lit and soft music playing. Emma was in her bouncer cooing happily, and Sophia was wearing a dress he'd never seen before, simple and elegant, making her look radiant. "What's the occasion?" he asked, looking around with curiosity and something that might have been hope. "Sit," Sophia said, guiding him to the table. "Eat first. Then I need to tell you something." Dinner was delicious, conversation flowing easily, as it always did between them. After they finished, Sophia made coffee while Liam played with Emma, making her laugh with silly faces and gentle tickles. Finally, when Emma was fed and drowsy, Sophia took her to the nursery for a quick diaper change and came back to find Liam waiting on the sofa, looking nervous. "Sophia, if this is about the apartment, I meant what I said." "It's not about the apartment," Sophia interrupted, sitting beside him. "Though thank you again for that. It's about us." Liam went very still. "Us?" Sophia took a deep breath. "You told me we should wait until I was stable and independent, until there was no question of you taking advantage or me confusing gratitude with love." She met his eyes steadily. "I'm stable now. I have a job, a home, a plan for my future. I'm not the desperate girl you found on that park bench anymore. I'm a mother, a student, a woman who knows her own mind." "Sophia," Liam started, but she held up her hand. "Let me finish. I need to say this." She took his hand, feeling it tremble slightly in hers. "I'm grateful to you, yes, for the apartment, for the help, for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself, but that's not why I love you." Liam's breath caught audibly, but Sophia continued, her voice growing stronger. "I love you because you're kind, without expecting anything in return, because you listen when I talk, really listen, because you make me laugh even on the hardest days, because you hold Emma like she's made of glass and look at her like she's the most precious thing in the world, because you're honest about your pain instead of hiding behind walls, because you respected me enough to wait, even though I know it was hard for you too." Tears were streaming down Liam's face now, but he was smiling. "Are you finished?" he asked, his voice rough with emotion. "Almost," Sophia said, smiling through her own tears. "I love you, Liam Davis. Not because you saved me, but because of who you are. And I'm ready now, if you are. Ready to stop waiting and start living." "Thank God," Liam breathed, and then he was kissing her. Gentle at first, tentative, as if he couldn't quite believe this was real. But when Sophia kissed him back with equal intensity, his arms came around her and pulled her close. 8 months of waiting and wanting pouring into that single perfect moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathless and laughing, Liam pressed his forehead to hers. "I love you," he whispered. "I've loved you since that first night in the cafe, watching you be brave enough to accept help. I've loved you through every conversation, every laugh, every moment we've shared. I love your strength, your resilience, your terrible jokes, the way you bite your lip when you're concentrating. I love that you're an amazing mother, an excellent student, and the most stubborn person I've ever met. I love everything about you, Sophia Johnson, and I want to spend the rest of my life showing you just how much." "That was quite a speech," Sophia said, grinning. "Did you rehearse that?" "Only about 1,000 times in my head," Liam admitted. "I've been waiting for this moment for so long." They kissed again, slower this time, savoring it. When they pulled apart, Liam took her hand and held it like it was something precious. "I need you to know something," he said seriously. "Emma will always be your daughter first. I would never try to replace her father or claim a role I haven't earned. But if you'll let me, I'd like to be there for her, to love her and support her and help raise her, not because I have to, but because I want to, because she's part of you, and I love everything about you." Sophia's heart felt so full she thought it might burst. "She already loves you. Every time you walk in, her whole face lights up. And she's going to need a father figure in her life, someone who shows up consistently, who loves her unconditionally, who teaches her what good men are supposed to be like." She squeezed his hand. "I can't think of anyone better for that role than you." "I won't let either of you down," Liam promised. "I know I've made mistakes, that I failed Sophie in ways I can never fix, but I won't fail you or Emma. That's a promise." "You already proved that," Sophia said softly. "The moment you stopped your car that night, the moment you offered help without expecting anything back, The moment you chose to wait until the time was right. You proved you're exactly the man I thought you were. They stayed up late that night, talking about the future they would build together. Liam wanted to do things properly, court her, date her, let their relationship develop naturally now that the waiting was over. Sophia agreed, though she admitted with a laugh that the waiting had built up quite a lot of anticipation. "We have time now," Liam said, kissing her forehead. "All the time in the world. No more rushing, no more emergencies. Just us, building something real." Over the following months, their relationship blossomed in ways that felt both new and familiar. Liam took Sophia on proper dates, dinners at nice restaurants, walks through the old city, picnics by the river with Emma cooing in her carrier. They introduced each other to their favorite things. Sophia taught Liam to appreciate poetry, and he taught her the basics of investing so she could build financial security for her future. In September, Sophia started her job at the language center and discovered she was a natural teacher. Her students loved her enthusiasm and patience, and she loved watching them progress. Between work, classes, and caring for Emma, her days were full but fulfilling. And every evening, Liam was there, helping with dinner, playing with Emma, studying with Sophia, or simply sitting together in comfortable silence. Catherine had become a regular presence too, a doting grandmother who was working hard to make up for lost time. She and Sophia were slowly rebuilding their relationship, learning to communicate honestly and respect boundaries. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. At Christmas, nearly a year after they had first acknowledged their feelings, Liam invited Sophia and Emma to his family's celebration again. This time, there was no pretending they were just friends. Isabel cried happy tears when they arrived holding hands, and Philippe clapped Liam on the back with obvious approval. After dinner, when Emma was napping and the family was gathered around the tree, Liam stood up and cleared his throat. "I have something I'd like to say, and I wanted everyone here because you're all important to us." He turned to Sophia, who was watching him with curiosity and dawning understanding. Liam took her hand and slowly, deliberately got down on one knee. The room went completely silent except for Isabel's gasp. "Sophia Johnson," Liam began, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "A year ago, I was just going through the motions of life, successful on the outside but empty on the inside. And then I met you, this incredible woman sitting on a park bench in the rain, scared and alone, but still fighting, still hoping. You changed everything." Sophia's eyes filled with tears as Liam continued. "You taught me that strength isn't about never falling down, it's about getting back up. You showed me that accepting help isn't weakness but wisdom. You reminded me that life is worth living, that pain can become purpose, that broken people can heal each other. You made me want to be better, to do better, to live up to the faith you placed in me." He pulled out a small velvet box and opened it, revealing a simple but beautiful ring, a diamond surrounded by smaller stones that caught the light and sparkled like stars. "I love you with everything I am. I love Emma as if she were my own daughter. I want to spend the rest of my life making you happy, supporting your dreams, and building a family with you. Sophia, will you marry me?" For a moment, Sophia couldn't speak, overwhelmed by love and gratitude and sheer joy. Then she nodded, laughing and crying at the same time. "Yes," she managed. "Yes, of course, yes." Liam slipped the ring on her finger and stood, pulling her into his arms and kissing her as his family erupted in cheers and applause. Emma woke up from the noise and started crying, but when Liam picked her up and held her while keeping one arm around Sophia, she settled immediately, as if she knew this was exactly how things were supposed to be. They were married in May, a year after Emma's birth, in a small ceremony by the river where Liam had first stopped to help a frightened girl in the park. Catherine stood beside Sophia as mother of the bride, tears of joy and redemption streaming down her face. Isabel and Philippe beamed from the front row, and Emma, now a year old and taking her first wobbly steps, was the flower girl, guided down the aisle by Amélie with much laughter and encouragement. During their vows, Sophia spoke of second chances and choosing love, even when fear whispers to play it safe. Liam spoke of finding purpose in service and discovering that the best way to honor those we've lost is to love those we still have with everything we are. There wasn't a dry eye in the audience when they kissed as husband and wife, and when Liam picked up Emma and kissed her forehead too, completing their family officially, everyone knew they were witnessing something special. Two broken people who had found each other in darkness and built something beautiful in the light. The reception was held at Isabel and Philippe's home, the garden decorated with lights and flowers and filled with everyone who had supported them on this journey. As the sun set and music played, Sophia found herself on the dance floor in Liam's arms, Emma asleep on his shoulder between them. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" Liam asked, confused. "For stopping that night, for seeing me when I felt invisible, for waiting until the time was right, for loving not just me, but my daughter too, for teaching me that happy endings are real, not just in books." Liam kissed her softly. "Thank you for letting me help, for being brave enough to accept kindness, for showing me that life goes on after loss and that it can be beautiful again, for loving me despite all my flaws, for giving me a second chance to be the person I should have been for Sophie, not by trying to replace her, but by honoring her memory through action." They swayed together as night fell completely, surrounded by family and love, and the promise of a future they would build together. Sophia thought about that night in the park, about the desperate girl she had been, and the strong woman she had become. She thought about the journey, painful and beautiful and transformative, that had brought her here. "What are you thinking?" Liam murmured against her hair. "That pain isn't the end of the story," Sophia said. "It's just the beginning. Everything I went through, the rejection, the fear, the night sleeping on that bench, it all led me here, to you, to us. And I wouldn't change any of it, not even the hard parts. Especially not the hard parts. They made me strong enough to recognize real love when it found me. They taught me to accept help and offer grace. They showed me that rock bottom isn't the end. It's just the foundation on which you build something new." Liam tightened his arms around her and Emma. "I love you, Mrs. Davis." "I love you too," Sophia whispered. "Thank you for changing everything." Years later, Sophia would tell Emma the story of how her parents met, not the sanitized version, but the real one, with all its pain and hope and transformation. She would tell her about the park bench, the kind stranger, the long months of waiting, and the love that grew slowly and steadily through patience and respect. "The lesson," she would say, "isn't that you need someone to save you. It's that sometimes accepting help is the bravest thing you can do. And sometimes offering help with no expectations is the most loving. Your father and I saved each other, really. I gave him purpose, and he gave me possibility. Together, we built something neither of us could have created alone." And Emma would grow up knowing that love isn't about perfection. It's about two imperfect people choosing each other every day. It's about transformation and redemption. It's about believing that happy endings are possible, even when you start in the darkest places. Because Sophia Johnson, now Sophia Davis, had learned the most important lesson of all, that the end of one story is just the beginning of another, and that sometimes the best chapters are the ones you write together, one day at a time, with love as your guide and hope as your compass. The end. Epilogue. 5 years after their wedding, Liam and Sophia stood in the same park where they had first met, now with Emma holding their hands and a son, Thomas, named not for Sophia's ex but for transformation itself, toddling between them. "This is where Maman and Papa met," Emma explained to her little brother, though he was too young to understand. "Papa saved Maman when she needed help." "We saved each other," Sophia corrected gently, squeezing Liam's hand. They had started a foundation together, the Sophie Davis Foundation, providing housing, education support, and resources for young parents facing homelessness. Hundreds of young women and men had been helped, given the same second chance that had changed Sophia's life. As they walked through the park, past the bench that had once been her bed, Sophia felt no shame, only gratitude. Every painful step of her journey had led her here, to this man, this family, this life built on love and second chances. Ready to go home? Liam asked, smiling at her with all the love and tenderness that still, after all these years, made her heart skip. Always, Sophia said, and meant it, because home wasn't a place. It was these people, this love, this life they had built together from nothing, and that was the greatest happy ending of all.